Welcome to the Village of Buchanan Board of Trustees Workshop Meeting of Tuesday, December 28th, 2021. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, everyone. We have a very short agenda this evening. We have quite a few things on our executive session, but I do want to start out with a huge thank you to Chief Farrell, Officer Reg, Sharon and Cindy in the office, Bob Wheeler, Tony Santiago, and I believe it was John Gibbons from Highway there, for their help in the distribution of the COVID-19 kits yesterday. Yesterday morning, we had a conference call with the team, Marcus and the team, and there was some discussion on the rollout. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get a ride to come out, get some fresh air, and just be out of house around people. And I want to tell you, I sat there and I was so proud and so impressed how organized it was and how it just flowed so smoothly. And I just want to thank the team for a fantastic job. I was very impressed. And I also want to give a big thank you out to Sean O'Mara, who thanking him for picking up the kits for us. We didn't have to send anyone down from the village. He was from the Verplank Fire Department. He was there and he picked up our kits for us. So thank you, Sean, for that. First thing on our agenda is the discussion of technical assistance for nuclear communities. Marcus and I have been in contact with this group. They might be able to help us get some funding for our community. And they weren't able to come this evening, but I'd like to have them come on the 4th. So if any of the board members, I know Marcus had sent out the information, if any of the board members have any questions or anything that they would like to ask with this organization, if you could get it to Marcus so we can have the answers at that meeting. I mean, we potentially have for sidewalks and lighting, so there might be some grant monies there that they'd be able to help us with. Eventually with the EDA, as we all remember, Eda Grants had set up a fund before she left for $15 million for communities that had closed nuclear power plants, and the town of Cortland, I think, don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I think it was $3 million that the town received. So that was through the EDA and through Eda Grants grant. So hopefully eventually we'll be able to qualify for that also. So that's that on there. And the discussion of a water meter surcharge fee. I know Bob, our highway foreman, wanted to speak to us about that. So Bob.
Before we, excuse me.
I'm so sorry.
Mayor, before we go on, can I just, on the EDA, the Economic Development Administration, I just have a couple of questions. Is there any kind of time frame that this has to be done within? Because I see we received this letter on the 30th. And Sean, I know you had pointed that out also. And
can I clarify that the letter came in on the 30th. Marcus and I have been in discussion with them. And since it was going to be a workshop item, there was no emergency to get that out. And especially since we weren't going to be discussing it at this meeting.
Yeah,
so
this is not exactly my question. My question is, because they, in their outline, phase 1, they talk about a placemaking and infrastructure opportunities in downtown, and they give a time frame of early December to mid-January. So I'm thinking that what I'm supposing, and I want to know is, are they just kind of conjecturing as to how long that might take and when we might start, but in reality, is there any time frame associated with this? in order for them to complete it with us?
No,
Is one question.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
is it just open-ended? When we finish it, we finish it?
that's correct, Nick. There is no timeline of when you have to apply to EDA. You can apply at any time when you actually have a project that you can actually apply for. And
Okay.
this kind of information and study is required. The town was
Okay.
able to apply to EDA because they have staffing. They have people who are grant writers and planners and engineers that provided enough detail for the EDA to provide them with that grant for the sidewalks that they actually was putting in Brookline.
Okay.
Okay, and
And
also, go
my
ahead.
other question is that what was forwarded to us did not include any contact information
Mhm.
from the Economic Development Administration, which is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce,
Right.
for anyone listening that is interested. And they provide this assessing service, which might help us in attaining grant monies. I mean, seems to be nothing to lose in doing this. But are there going to be specific people assigned to us that we will be meeting with and that will develop this, do these assessments and planning?
Yes. I want to clarify something because not everybody knows the EDA, Economics Development Administration. So I know Rich always brings it up. Yes, there is a group that will be working with us. So right now, thank you, Nick, but we're just getting ahead of ourselves a little bit because I'd like them to come in to do a presentation and see if the board is interested in pursuing this with this group.
Yeah. Okay. And we're going to have them come in next week at the board meeting?
January 4th. Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay.
Mhm. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. While we're on this, did anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right. Good questions, Nick, but next week we'll get further into the discussion. And one other thing I want to mention with the EDA grants, and one of the reasons why we couldn't apply for it last time is because the EDA grants are tied to jobs. And the town had tied their project in Brookline to some jobs that they could create through that. And that's why they got that EDA grant. We're not exactly there for EDA grants yet, but when some of the properties do become available, of course, we'll be able to access some of that money. So, but there is, my understanding is with this group, there's also other monies. So that would be one of my biggest questions. Is this completely tied to the EDA, or are there other avenues that they can pursue for us for grants?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Bob Wheeler, where are you? You still with us?
I'm here.
Okay, so we're going to have a discussion on the water meter surcharge fee.
So let me start off a little bit. There's a number of properties that have not allowed access to replace the meter with remote reader that we can read remotely. Also give the property owner access to review their usage online. Bob and Randy has been trying to get in there for, oh my God, a long time. The village board approved some time ago a $200 fee for every time that we can't get in. That has not changed anybody else's mind. So talking to Bob, we talked about the possibility of increasing the fee to try to encourage these last number of people to allow access to replace that meter. And if the board does agree to increase that fee, we can notify them now. And if we get in there before the next billing, which I think is in April, there'll be no free charge. So I'll let Bob explain a little bit of that, because I know he's been working with Randy to try to get into the remaining properties.
How many are we talking about?
Yeah.
How many properties?
Approximately 9 to 10.
Okay.
That's it? Okay.
That's it. It's the same people we've been trying to contact for close to 2 years now, as long as we've been putting computers in. And the $200 fee doesn't seem to bother them, paying that extra $400 a year to not have this new meter installed. So something has to be done to get this changed out.
What is that's the fee that we're currently charging, Bob?
I believe it's $200. Marcus will know the better up. I'm pretty sure it's $200 every cycle, which is twice a year.
Yes,
That's correct. That's correct. Cindy got it.
It sounds like we're making more money allowing them to
Yeah.
keep their meter than going in and changing it. Because it's 200,
Wow.
my water bill is less than $200 every 6 months, and we use a lot of water. So, how much, once we replace the meter, of course, it's gonna read higher than it is reading now. As long as they're already being estimated, I don't see why we just can't bring in an extra $4,000 or $5,000 a year.
Well, it's not just that they're being estimated. What we're doing is we're still spending our time going out and reading these things manually off the house. So
They're
we're getting,
letting you in the house. to read.
well, we still have those, most of those residents have their meters on the outside of the house, like we used to
Oh,
read back in the day.
okay.
We walk the
Okay.
village.
Right.
So now twice a year, Randy has to go out and read these meters, assuming that they're working accurately, which most of them are not at this point in time.
Hmm.
We've had some as low, most of our ones that we had done originally were bench tested, and some of them have been as bad as 65% accurate, which means they're getting 35% break in their water.
Right.
That's not saying the 10 that we have now are that way, but they are all older homes, and for whatever reason, they don't mind paying an extra $200 on top of their water bill, whether it's, I know I wish my water bill was as low as yours, Sean, and I don't think I go through that much water, but I apparently do. But,
You have a pool, Bob.
yeah, I know, but still, even in the wintertime, I pay over $300, in my spring bill, but hey, I use it. It's not a
Can I-
problem. It's just that we keep knocking on the same doors trying to get this done. And we are helping a lot of residents out when we do get notified that they have leaks in their homes. And our biggest problem with that is some people think when you tell them there's a 60 or 70 gallon an hour leak, the most people assume that they're going to hear water running down their walls or something. And a lot of times it's just their toilet. We had that issue happen with one house not too long ago where we had a 70 gallon hour leak. And it was business actually that they left right before the Thanksgiving break. And Thanksgiving morning, Randy noticed it on the computer that there was a significant leak there. We got a hold of the business owner. We went there and they basically had the chain hung up on their flapper on their toilet. That would have ran for 5 days at 70 gallons an hour. It doesn't sound like a lot, but your toilet leaks a lot of water when it's like that.
Right.
So it's a benefit to the homeowner at the same time to get these things put in because they can track it themselves also.
What percentage increase are you looking for?
300 to 500. That's double. So it's what, 125%? Because if it was 200 and if you're asking for 500, so wouldn't that be 125?
I know. I think the only way to get people to respond to this, obviously $200 isn't doing it, is there's not much choice but raise it more. Maybe we'll get some response.
And
I don't know.
Bob, you said that most of these are on the outsides of the home?
I believe the ones that we're reading right now, we're going out. Randy has to go out. When you start breaking down how much time it takes him to do that when he can be doing other things, twice a year. Some are, I don't want to say they're all on the outside of the home because some of those on the outside of the home may not work. Then we have to try to get in the house. If not, then we can just give them estimated bills. And in the past, when we've given people estimated bills for not allowing us to read their inside meter because we knew the outside one wasn't working anymore, they seem to respond once you estimate them with a little higher bill.
Marcus, we have a list every year of people who are delinquent on their water bills. And do you have any correlation between those 9 or 10 homes and the bill paying? Are they all people who, despite the $200 charge, are paying their bills?
That's a good question. I got Cindy in the line. I know that we have a number of people that have not paid their water bill. And because of COVID, we couldn't re-levy that into the tax bill. So Cindy,
Right.
Do you know if any of the ones we're talking about here, one of the ones that could have been re-levied and we couldn't, or have they all paid their bills? I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
I mean, I would say 50-50.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think one of the other issues to think about here is I believe, I'm not 100% sure about this, maybe Cindy or Marcus can answer this for me, that every homeowner had a one-time free pass if they got an extraordinary high bill because of the new meters. So some of these people might be having some issues they don't want to repair in their home. Some of their homes aren't in the greatest of shape, or whatever reason, who knows what they're doing with their water. And they don't seem to be paying their water bills that we're getting plus another $200. And they know they're going to get a free look when we finally catch up to them, because it does happen. Some of these new meters, people get their first readings after new meters, and it's a significant change, especially 35% more of your water bill, as some of these meters have tested.
What are the board's
Hey.
thoughts? Do you think this is something that we can, I don't know, do you think, I'm asking the board, do you think this would be something that would entice these 9, 10 homes to finally get their new meter in? My concern is, if there's leaks, that's a lot of wasted water.
It seems unbelievable that people would be willing to pay that rather than let somebody come change their meter, which at my house, it took about 15 minutes to do. It's a very quick thing. I'm sure that there's 1,000 different personalities out there, and maybe a couple of people who just really don't like to be around other people. Who knows? But I'm not going to start psychoanalyzing why people would want to do that. But maybe if I don't see raising the fine any more than that. It's already more than high enough to cover what our expense of going out to read it is. So to me, raising the fine, it should not be done, quite honestly. What I'd like to see is, we've been able to, through our computers, we can pick up on if somebody has a leak. And we did pass a thing years ago that a one-time forgiveness, if you have a leak and your bills are too high, a one-time forgiveness thing. I would like to eliminate the forgiveness for those houses and send, and send out a letter saying that, while we're able to monitor and let you know if there's a non-recognized leak or something, or bump up in your usage, who knows? Maybe they're growing hydroponic illegal substances and they're using a lot of water and they don't want anybody in the house. I have no idea what's going on, but maybe we should not be giving forgiveness to people who are not going to go with the new meters. Maybe send them another letter, but I don't know.
Well, that's why we're at right now, because we keep sending letters and knocking on their doors, and you try to see them when they're bringing their kids to school. If you get lucky, you might catch someone. That's how we got some people. We can't get a hold of them. We see someone walking their kid to the bus. We get them,
Yeah.
and then we get in. But we've been doing this. I don't know how many times we put letters out to these people's homes. Numerous times. It's been going on for quite a few years now.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
you
know.
kind of wonder sometimes, why are people not wanting to do this? Is it, some of it was before the pandemic. Some is going on now. I understand part of that, but it's kind of.
Well, does the rest of the
Something's
board
gotta be
think that we should raise the fine?
I agree. I agree with Bob. I think we should raise the fine. We
Yeah,
keep
okay.
wasting a lot of time and money. So, you gotta move them somehow. If somebody has a better idea than that to get them to get the water, like you said, Nick, it only took a few minutes to change it. So I don't know
Right.
what's going on with the people. But we shouldn't, the village shouldn't have to support, 9 or 10 houses that just don't want to even cooperate with the highway department. But if that's the only way to raise the fee, that's great. If somebody has a better idea of how to get to them, fine.
Mhm.
Is it possible that some of them are a language issue and they don't get it? Should the letter be sent out in another language?
I don't believe there's any of them are language issues. Are there, Cindy?
I don't think so. No.
So, you hate to think that people are doing bad things, but it just seems to me that some people are doing bad things.
And I agree with Bob on this, and I do agree with trustee Murray. If they're willing to pay the $500 fee, that's really something going on there. And we can set on, and we send out a notice now that a fee will be charged, and they still disregard that, then we got a real problem.
Yeah. So if the board does agree doing that, what would be the time frame to, by the end of March, that they would have to have it installed, or the end of February? The new meter?
I think
Yeah,
if we do it, but the next cycle would be starting doing the meters again manually. If they don't do it, we'll have to do that in March, I believe, because the bills go out in April, right? April 1st, Marcus?
That's correct. And to let everybody know, if everybody had a remote reader put in by Con Edison, Con Edison charges for not putting a remote meter in. They charge $500 per month for not allowing them to put the remote reader in your house for Con Edison. So just to show a comparison, ours is $500 every 6 months. So.
Well, that's an incentive. Wow.
You hate to get that
Well,
way, but you
All
gotta.
right.
All right,
All
what's
right.
the rest of the board think? Do you think that
Hey, Mayor,
Sean,
Anthony, Mayor, you had mentioned a $500 surcharge. Where'd that number come from? That's not on the,
I did not mention that. It wasn't me that came up with that number.
No, that was Bob and I speaking about it as a number, just to throw something out there. And Con Edison, that's what Con Edison is charging every month. So I'm trying to get something that is something another utility is using.
I mean, ultimately, it's up to the board what they think they need to
Sure.
do here. But I think we need to move on something here. It's not a lot of them that are out there, but it's a benefit to them and us.
Yeah, we want everyone on the system too, because then this way we know about leaks, we know about different things when everybody's on the system.
How long have we been charging the $200 per reading? What is that, for a year or two? The last year or two?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well,
So Cindy, we've gone at least 4 cycles like that with $200.
At least four, yes.
all right, well, it seems, so, Anthony, are you in favor of increasing the fine?
I am in favor of it, yes.
Okay.
There's no other way to come around getting this done. I mean, obviously, they don't care at the $200 mark. So, I mean, if it's a mandatory, I agree with the leak situation. You got to be able to monitor the leaks. You got to be able to work in the system. I mean, it's whatever, just raise.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
just I don't see
Rich
why
and
they
Anthony-
wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So Rich and Anthony favor the increase. Teresa, what do you think?
I like what you had said, but I just want to get these people on board. Let's I guess the $500 fee, if that gets their attention. If not,
If that doesn't get their attention, then something's going on.
I think
mean, what
several
we-
mailings should go out. I don't think it should be just one mailing. I think there should be several mailings that go out and have them contact the office with any questions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
think we have from now until March to get their attention on this through. We can drop letters on their doors. We can, I don't know if it's possible to put something in a newsletter, just not pinpoint anyone in particular, but at least letting people know if you haven't had it done, we're going to be raising our fees.
Yeah.
Any way we can reach out to them to let them know this.
Yeah, well, we
Best way.
Yeah, we can send out certified letters, regular letters. We can actually put something and hang in the door. So we're talking about 9 properties. So Randy can go to each individual house and actually put something on the door, and we'll send out a mail, certified mail and regular mail. And we'll do that. We can do that every 2 or 3 weeks if you want. It doesn't matter, every month. I mean, you've got a couple of months for them to be notified, and we'll tell them to contact.
What about a certified return receipt so we know that they got it?
Absolutely. Yep. And we do regular mail too.
you guys are going crazy. Why are you wasting all this time and energy and money notifying people for something that they've been known about for 2 or 3 years now? Just put forth a resolution with a dollar value on it. We'll advertise it on an agenda and vote on it. Forget this going to people's houses every day, every 2 weeks, every 6
Sean,
months.
we're trying to get people to comply. That's all. I
And nothing
understand
has worked, so-
they haven't complied in 2 years. So they have the opportunity to finish complying till the end of February. So if it takes a few more letters, we get these people on board, fine. If not, let's pass the resolution, let them know the resolution is passed, and they're gonna pay $500. I hate to
Yeah,
see that
yeah.
happen, but so is everybody in agreement? Then we should
Yeah,
do.
I
that on the
agree. I
agenda.
kind of agree with the sentiment coming from Sean there, in that, in a way, with, it's like we're going over and beyond, we've gone over and
we
beyond.
have.
If they're paying $200 every time there's a reading, they darn well should be aware of this. But so we should send out some official letter. We don't have to go, and that's it.
And just to be clear
I
on
guess we
one
have to-
thing,
What's that,
just to be
Bob?
clear on one thing, to interrupt here, not to interrupt, but to clear on one thing, it's not a $200 bill they're getting. They're getting their water bill plus a $200 penalty fee.
Right.
Well,
So-
you
And
think
it's
that
not,
they're
it's not,
aware
it's
that?
not affecting them.
Are
So
they
they're
thinking
paying
it's just
$400
part of
more
their
a year.
water bill, or do they understand that they're paying a fine?
Cindy would have to answer that question. I was put on her bill.
Yeah, Cindy, I think it's asked to identify separately on the bill. Cindy, can you confirm that?
Yes, it's listed separately on the bill.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
right.
so they have a few more months to comply. Do you want to put that on the agenda to vote on that in at the January meeting? To increase the
Yes.
fee?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
do.
And Marcus, please add that.
No problem. We'll look at how, if it's by resolution or local law, we'll have that straightened out for the next meeting. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have on the workshop discussion. We do, like I said, do have quite a bit in the executive session to discuss. We do have one of our members on here that has a very early surgery tomorrow morning. Stephanie, we wish you well. Best
Thank
wishes
you.
on that, and hopefully the pain goes away from your shattered wrist. And we're definitely sorry that happened to you.
Thank you.
Who else has something before we go into executive session?
I have one
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, go ahead. Nick.
Okay, sure.
So the contest has been ongoing for the logo redesign. I've gotten a bunch of submissions. A website that Jessica Nash, the art teacher at the high school, helped set up, and some of that, there's a few that I think are quite nice. The contest is going to come to an end. When we last discussed this, I talked about donating, myself donating $250 towards the prize money. So I wanted to know if anybody else cared to contribute even a small amount to the prize money. You can let me know privately if you don't want to discuss it now. And once the end of the year comes and the last entries, any last minute entries come in, I'd like to use the beautification committee as the judges for the to pick the logo, and they can pick what they think are the best ones. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we have them pick the best, what they think are the best three, and then we'll have the board pick. I don't know. What do we? If there's any suggestions on this, we don't have to go back and forth now, but anybody has any suggestions on this right now, otherwise get in touch with me in the next week or so.
Okay, and then the board would have to make a decision, but here's my concern. What if we don't like any of them?
If we don't like any of them, we're not compelled to change
Okay, perfect.
the logo.
The contest done? When are they
Pardon me?
due by? When is the contest due by?
December 31st.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ann.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that I like, but I don't want to be the sole judge. I would like, and there, a lot of them come out of the high school. Some other people have put in some designs on their own. One person I know put in a design is not a resident of the village or the town, but works for the village. So I don't know, we might have to decide if we'll accept that entry. I had one question also, Stephanie. If we go ahead with this, do we need to get the person who designed the logo to sign a release or something so that we can use it freely?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how you put it out there, what they think they're doing.
Well,
I
they're
mean, did they
redesigning
think
the
they were
village
going
logo,
to-
but we want to make sure that they can't, that once we use
not
it, that we
copyrighted.
have the rights to it, and they can't tell us otherwise.
All
Yeah,
right,
and we'll draft something like that for the winner.
all right, we can discuss that when the time comes.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you guys like, I could print out, well, I'd wait for the beautification committee maybe to narrow it down, and then I could print out the ones that are amongst the finalists and let the board look at them as well.
Okay. Good.
So, all right, so
Thank you,
unless
Nick.
somebody else wants to contribute, the prize money will be $250.
Okay. Thanks, Nick.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, Nick. Okay, let's see. So we we can go into executive session
Well, I
now.
just had a
Oh,
couple
that's what I
questions.
asked. I asked if anyone else had anything else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Sean and I both
Okay,
said something
Sure.
at the same
Oh,
time.
okay, I didn't hear you.
He let me go first.
Okay, all right, no problem.
I was going through the bills and I noticed that there's a voucher 23508 that was billed to us to change a law for chronic code abusers. I don't understand what that was. I don't think we ever discussed drafting a law for code abusers. And I don't know why we'd be getting billed for it. Does anybody have any idea about this?
No. Did you ask Cindy in the office or Marcus when you saw that?
Cindy and Marcus wasn't there that day. I was in there.
Oh,
just
okay.
Sharon.
All right.
So does anybody know why we're getting billed for drafting a law for chronic code abusers? That was the title of the voucher, 23508.
You don't remember who the bill to was?
No, I don't recall. I just wrote down the voucher number.
All right, I'll have to look tomorrow and let you know, because that doesn't ring a bell to me.
Okay.
Me neither.
Also voucher 23408, which was for our attorney, not our labor attorney. We were billed for $3,400 for October, but I didn't see any contract negotiations. So I was wondering, Marcus, do we have any contract negotiations scheduled? Because we're still getting billed for the legal fees for it. And I don't remember ever hearing an update on a PBA contract.
No, I know he's doing research and there should be details that goes along with it. I don't remember the details of
Yeah,
that.
there was a lot of research and for attending meetings and for prepping for our meetings and stuff. But, this has been going on for quite some time. I was just curious, when our negotiations scheduled at any time soon, or?
No, the union has not reached out. I mean, I don't know what we're discussing in the public, but the union has not reached out to start negotiations. I know
Okay.
Craig and I are ready, so it just normally the union will reach out and say, we want to start negotiations. I understand their representative has been very, very busy with a whole bunch of police issues. So I think we're ready whenever they are.
Could he give us an estimate on how much more research is going to be required before we
Sure.
start?
Sure, I know he's away for the holidays. I'll email and tell him to if there's any more estimated expenses until we sit down with them.
All right. Also, I had done the general code corrections. Remember, we had discussed the general code and how everybody was going to take a piece of it. I did up to page 90 and gave it to Cindy. I was wondering, because we did have to have this done in January sometime, didn't we? Has anybody else taken
I
any?
think they were going to extend the time because when we had the discussion with them, we said, well, there's no way that's going to be done by December or January.
Okay, so what's our time now that we're allowed to
So
have?
what I'd like to do, I'm glad you brought that up, the third Tuesday of January, I'd like to have a special meeting concerning that. I know you've done the first 90 pages. I had a section I was going to be doing, and I believe Nick, I forgot what section you were covering
On the zoning?
of the code.
Yeah. The zoning section, which is section 211.
Okay,
Now,
I got up to page 40.
all right. Well,
what's that?
I said, I got up to page 40 on the code, going through it.
okay. And Sean had reviewed up to page 90.
I
Okay.
thought we were going to section it off. All right.
Well, yes, we
Okay,
are.
well,
We are.
let's-
So then
Okay.
Rich has reviewed that part of it. Let's
Can I
ahead of
just-
time. Please have
Right.
everyone look up to page 90 so we can have a discussion about that. And then if we have time, we'll go further than that.
Okay, so I thought I understood that we were each going to review a different section or
Yes.
something.
Mhm.
But we're all now reading the first 90 pages?
Well, we're going to review what Sean's suggestions are, the first 90 pages, and that's going to be the first discussion.
You've shown the first 90 pages. Can you tell me what is that?
I just took, instead of jumping through everything, the book,
Yeah.
it's 200 pages long. So I originally said, I'll do the first 50 pages, and everybody else could decide how they want to do it. And then
Yeah,
when we saw that the first 20 or so were junk, I went up to 90 pages. So I
Oh,
thought somebody
okay.
would take page 90 to 130, 130 to 170, 170 to 200, and then cull all that information. I didn't know everybody was gonna do all of them at the same time.
No, I didn't
We all
either.
have to review, even though you're doing those sections, we still have to review it, right?
Okay, well, I think that, that there's this, I mean, everyone on this board is not a zoning expert, and I think some of the stuff could be confusing, so I think we all do have to discuss it together, but, I think the code book is like 400 pages. And the zoning section alone is 100 pages. I actually counted them.
We were
So
all-
I'm gonna stick with that zoning section for now, and
Okay, please.
I'll try to skim through some of the other parts that we're gonna discuss. Are we having is this gonna be at the next workshop? We're gonna discuss this?
This, I'd like to have a special meeting to discuss this so we can get this kind of done. So
Yeah,
the
can we-
third Thursday, I don't have
Can
the
we set
date
a
in
date
front of me.
now?
I don't have my calendar in front of me, but the third Tuesday, I'm sorry, I keep saying Thursday, third Tuesday of January.
Which is the 18th?
Yes, that's not a holiday, is it?
No,
The holiday is.
that's
the
okay with
17th,
me.
Maybe, okay. Okay, all right,
is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
okay.
Okay, zoning workshop. Wow, something to look forward to in the new year.
Yeah. Okay, and
Also, as I was going through
Yes.
the bills, I noticed that we had purchased a synthetic ice rink, voucher 23564 for $37,000, and that there was a voucher there for $18,000. I don't ever remember discussing purchasing a synthetic ice rink.
well, Sean, let me give you some history on this. Since I've been mayor, I have been very, very fortunate to get many, many grants, starting with the Entergy grant for Buchanan Day. So each year I would get $5,000. And we've always had great Buchanan Days, great participation from the community, which is what makes us so special here. It's a pretty tight-knit community. So going back, my first grant that I got from Terrence Murphy was $100,000. This has been something that has been discussed for years and years and years about getting a skating rink. So it's Senator Murphy's $100,000 grant. We did quite a bit of work at the pavilion, and we were hoping with that money, when we did some repaving, that we'd be able to seal the pavilion itself so that we could flood it again. Well, that didn't work out. That wasn't going to happen. So that was always still on our minds, always on our minds, that we were going to have some type of an ice skating rink. I grew up in this community like you did and a few others, and the memories that we've had here for years, we grew up in small town USA. I remember years ago skating at the pavilion and all the fun we had there. And I remember we had somebody who was actually a resident here in the village who was doing the competes for the US Olympic team. We used to be able to skate from 4th Street down into the point because that always froze. Every year that lake always froze, and we'd be outside till we turned blue. Used to skate there. We used to skate, so for years and years and years, it was like, when can we flood the pavilion? What can we do with the pavilion? I just think it's a great thing for the community, especially now with COVID. These poor kids are cooped up. This would be a great thing for the kids. This would be a great thing for the community. The parents can come out. And you know what? It's a grant. This is not costing us. It's a 60 by 40 that I put a grant in with Entergy. Entergy approved this expenditure of the money, just like out at the Circle, they approved that. Just like they approved when I put money in to have the 90th birthday party for the Village of Buchanan. They have been very generous to us. And you know what? We are on this board, and yes, we provide a service. We provide, we pick up people's garbage. We shovel their snow. We provide police service. There's so many different services. But you know what? I think sometimes you have to look at quality of life in a community. And that for the kids, I think it's just a home run for the kids. I mean, how many of these kids know how to skate? And I saw not too long ago on Facebook, which I really enjoyed. Somebody had asked, do you remember skating on the lake? And it's just all these childhood memories these people had. And it was just, I said, wow, what a nice thing to have. So this isn't a sudden thing. This has been discussed. I met with Bob, I met with Marcus. We were down at the pavilion because originally we were going to get something that we could flood. And as we know, whether you agree with it or not, with climate change, we're all concerned. Like, yeah, if we get this, will it freeze? How many times can we use this? How many, can we use it once? Can we use it twice? I don't know, because years ago that pavilion would freeze over and we'd skate for weeks and weeks. But then, Bob was out there measuring it, and, there was one section, and Bob, what was it, 3 inches? And then the other deeper section was 9 inches. Then there were some questions to us. We're like, is this going to freeze? Like, will the 3-inch side freeze and the 9-inch side? Okay, so maybe we don't put it in the pavilion. Maybe we put it outside on the lawn. Will that work? So that we went back and forth. And then with the grant, it wasn't specific whether it was a flooded or it was a synthetic skating rink. So with the synthetic one, it's really a win-win, because we can use that year round. Nancy can use that for camp. If the board wants to decide at some point to expand it larger than 40 by 60, there's different panels that can be bought. So it can be put in different places. So this seemed to be the best option, but the grant money went into Entergy specifically for a skating rink. And this has been in the works for many, many years. So this is what we're doing. We're buying the skating rink. And like I said, I think it's a big win for the kids in the community. I think it would be a great thing for them to get out and get some fresh air.
Well, this is a luxury I don't think we can afford, number one.
Well, we're not
Number
buying.
two-
We're not buying it.
Pardon me. Number two,
Mhm.
these funds were not discussed, at least since April.
Okay.
Was not budgeted. We don't have, nobody knew, at least I didn't know about this, and it hasn't been going on. If you said it's been going on for years, it could very well have been going on for years. However, the email that Marcus sent me, she said that he had gotten permission for the remaining grant funds to be used for 4 different reasons. And I had asked Marcus what the original criteria for the grant was. So this was an additional approval outside of the original grant money. Also,
I've been in discussions with a long time with them for ice skating rink.
Yes,
we do have the voucher that was down in the office had 0 signatures on it, but the printout of the expenditure of the TNA fund shows that Quick Rink was already paid the first half of the payment of $18,000. And as far as I know, no member of the board had approved that expenditure. And if I'm not mistaken, when we go to expend funds, doesn't the board have to approve for unbudgeted items? Is that true or not? Or am I under a misconception?
Sean, the money is in the TNA account already.
Yes, it is.
It's paid for. So I'm not sure this is free. This is costing the village taxpayer $0. So I'm not understanding what you're saying, expenditure, because the village taxpayer is paying nothing for this rink.
The village taxpayer is paying $38,000
How?
because
How
we're
are
writing
they
the
paying
check
that
for them
when
of
the grant-
purchasing
How are
something.
they paying that? How are they paying that when there's grant money in the TNA account that's going to pay for that? They are not paying $38,000. This is coming. Thank you, Entergy. Thank you for whoever put the grant in. Thank you. This is free. The village taxpayer is paying nothing. This is a benefit to our kids. This is an addition to our recreation for our children. There is no village taxpayer dollars expended.
Every dollar that the village of Buchanan has is a taxpayer dollar. It comes into the village one way and it gets expended in one way. It gets expended for the good and benefit of the village residents. We have grants that have come from different places. This money was to be used for the good of the village. And the way the 4 things that were listed that Marcus gave me, and the way that that email was written, leads me to believe that there was criteria that was given to the village for the grant to be used in. And when somebody or some people wanted to purchase an ice skating rink, they had to go back to Entergy and get approval for that. So what?
Entergy
was
would
the
not
original-
have sent us the money if they didn't approve it.
They
You know
approved
what,
something-
it was put in as a grant, okay? And that was the approval and the designated approved expense, what was to be used for it. That doesn't go into our general fund. There would no way they would agree with that. That does not go into just taxpayer dollars.
I understand how
I'm just
grants are
disappointed,
issued.
Sean. Something nice for the community and something nice for the kids. I don't understand why you would be so against it.
What, I never said I was against it. I'm saying that the process was wrong.
All
I
right.
personally would not have approved that expenditure. Their ice skating rink has not even been vetted. What does our insurance company say about it? Who's
We've
gonna
already-
open and close the gates? Who's gonna supervise it? Who's gonna have the bathrooms going? Who's gonna administer this program on the weekends? Or when the village highway is closed? What's gonna happen then?
Well,
So
that's a
these are all
discussion the
questions
board
that I
has
would
to
have
have.
asked before I approved this. And
Okay. Well, you
and-
weren't going to approve it anyhow, because I can tell how negative you are towards it. So
I'm just,
it
I'm
wouldn't-
exhibiting,
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't
I'm
matter.
exhibiting a questioning attitude, which
know-
is what everybody's supposed to have when we expend funds.
Okay.
and
And those
especially-
funds were earmarked for certain things. They were earmarked for the circle. They were earmarked for Buchanan Day. There were earmarks on these. It wasn't just like, okay, we'll send you $30,000. It's okay. So we have to follow the requirements of a grant.
There
But
there
you know,
was
Sean,
actually,
I would take a vote on this now, but as you know, we don't vote at workshops. So, I mean, if I'm more than happy to take a vote on it at the January meeting and, let the board decide at that point if you want to do a vote on
well, but the check was already written.
it. Okay?
So how do you rescind the
It
check?
shouldn't, and you know what? You should have 3 signatures before a check is written. I agree with you on that.
There was no signatures on it.
Okay. And as
Well,
you know, I have not been in the office for about a month, and because my signature would definitely have been on there.
So Marcus, if you could, as I had previously requested in the email last week or 2 weeks ago, if you could send me the original criteria for the grant money that was sent from Entergy with the grant criteria on it. The email that you sent me, Marcus, had 4 additions to the original grant. So if you could just let me see that so we can discuss it at the next board meeting. Okay?
Sure. I think it was all Buchanan Day or something like that, but I'll look through the record, see what it was. No
No,
problem.
there was 2 separate grants issued by Entergy, one on March 26, 2021, and another one was on March 29th, 2021, which was marked the circle for another $25,000. So if you could just get me the original grant criteria that is stated on the original issuance of the checks, I appreciate it.
Sure, no
Wow.
problem.
I'm just disappointed, Sean. I just, it's
I'm
something,
disappointed that our
I'm
bidding process
disappointed
was
that it's
circumvented.
something nice for the community. And, no matter what it was, we could put the Eiffel Tower up here and you would be against it. So I'm just, it's something nice for the community. It's something nice for the kids. And, if you want to torpedo this and poo-poo it and we return the money to Entergy, then you know what? It's up to the board to decide at this point. So, okay, now.
Can
Can
I
we
just
move on
comment
to-
quickly?
Yes,
Can I
sure,
just
Nick.
weigh in a little bit? I know it's something that the mayor's been talking about for a long time. And that we got funds that were specifically targeted for that. I'm all for something new in the rec program. I like the idea of anything that expands the rec program. But I would say that Sean is, justified in saying, well, how are we going to administer it, when it will be open, who's going to be there? So those are things we need to talk about. And I'm also going to ask Marcus, is there a brochure or a website for the company that makes this? I'd be curious as to look it over because it's a new one on me, an iceless ice rink. I mean, so I'd just like to look at the brochure to see what it is exactly, how exactly this thing works.
Sure,
Is there a link to their website that you could send me?
Yep, I'll send you the link, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And we definitely have to discuss the details, but if the money was targeted for this, I think it would be a fine addition. But we should look it over and discuss some of the details.
Okay.
You done, Nick?
Yeah, I'm done.
Thanks. So the money was allocated just specifically for this. In the email, I saw the four items that were listed. And I hear what Sean's saying. Now, did we have the ability to vote on the 4 items, or was it something you submitted to Entergy? Or, that's the only question I have. I'm not really understanding why an ice rink, like where did the ice rink come from? I understand the benefit of it for the community. I really do. I think it's a great idea. I just, maybe the board should have been enlightened on what we were choosing to use that money on. But if there's only 4 items, I understand that too.
It wasn't only 4 items, it was an addendum.
So you made an addendum to the original. That was the original grant.
We have been getting Entergy grants since I have become mayor. We've been getting a lot of different grants since I became mayor. The last, I have to look back, Pete Harcum, there was a discussion on putting the ice on the monies used for an ice skating rink at the pavilion once again. And he was okay with us using it to upgrade the pavilion for one of his grants that he had given us. This has been something that's been in a discussion for a long time. This is the grant, when the grant money is put in for Entergy, we have to tell them what we're using it for. So it's not like we suddenly got $50,000 and I said, oh, let's get an ice skating rink. This has been a long time in discussion of getting an ice rink there. And I think this was the best option, working with some other people. This was the best option that we would have it for many years and have a lot of use of it. So what I'm going to say to the board now, the people that are so negative about this, if that's what you really want to do, if you don't want to have an ice skating rink, if you don't want to move the village forward, if you don't want to have a better quality of life, if you want to consistently be negative and angry, that's your privilege and that's your right. But we should be working for the quality of life for these village residents. We're all going through a tough time with this COVID. I think it's a positive thing for the community. If you do not think it's a positive thing for the community, you do not think we should have an ice skating rink and we should just send the money back to Entergy, well, then that's your decision to make that vote. So we will put that up for a vote in January. And you know what? And then we will not have an ice skating rink if we get three people on the board to decide that. This rink is free. If the village had to pay for it out of taxpayer dollars, recreation fund, whatever. So this is something that we are getting from a corporation that's giving it to us for free for the benefit of our community. So I would like to put this up for a vote in January and we will resolve it at that time. Are we good with that?
Teresa, I wasn't going in that direction, if that's what you're.
No, that's what I'm just asking, Tony. Anthony, I'm just asking.
Listen, I'm all for the community and putting into recreation, something like this is a great idea. I'm not against it. I just wanted an answer on if we had the ability to vote on different items for recreation, is that what we were going at? But, I think it's a great idea. I don't see it. If it's free, like you're telling us, and it is grant money 100%, then it's a great idea. I don't see anything wrong with it.
With the Entergy grants, starting with the Buchanan days, the money went into the TNA account and we knew we had a budget. We had a budget of $5,000.
That guaranteed money for the
and we would use that for that. So anytime I submitted a grant to Entergy, they would have to approve it. So this has been discussed, and it is what it is. I'm not going to argue with you, Sean. If you don't think this is a good thing for the community, we're going to put it up for a vote and we'll let it go like that.
Well, like I previously stated, I wanted to see the original grant application as well as the uses, because the
Okay,
email that came from Entergy states that that an additional approval was received for the remainder of the funds. When somebody says remainder of the funds, that means there was funds that were given under different criteria. So their application for those 4 things that Anthony is speaking about was approved for the remainder of the funds. So,
okay, I could answer that question.
well, I prefer to see the paperwork on it.
Okay, I'm going to answer the question anyhow.
All right.
We, every year, had money that we got from Entergy. Towards the last couple of years, I had asked Entergy for more money. And some would be used for Buchanan Day or whatever. So we had excess money. So with that excess money, because I couldn't do the Rink through one funding source, I had asked Entergy, because we had discussed it a while back, could we use this excess money for the ice skating rink? And they said yes. Obviously, they put the money, we had the money in the account and they asked for, they said, yes, you can use the money for this. So once again, I thought it was a great idea for the kids. I thought it would be a fun thing for them. I thought it would be an opportunity for them to get outside and get some fresh air. It would be a great, great thing for our community. But you know what? If once again, that's something that you don't think will benefit the community, then you know what? We'll take the vote in January. That's all. I'm not going to argue with you over this, Sean. It's like we're trying to move the village forward here.
Absolutely.
And you seem to just want to go backwards, and negative and angry. So
I'm
if
just
that's
asking a
how
question.
you want to do things, that's okay for you. That's not how I manage things. That's not how I've been the mayor. I've very, very much worked very hard getting all of these grants, every one of them. And we've also gotten additional grants. Since I became mayor, damn it, I've worked hard to get a lot of good things for this community. And if you're not happy with that, I'm sorry, but I'm going to continue to do the right thing for this community while I'm here. And you know what? Look at the grant money all the different grant money that came in. Now we're talking about, which is another issue, is the sewer treatment plant, but look at the grant money that just came in from the DEC. That grant, we were waiting for that. So you know what? I've worked damn hard to do good things for this community, get grants. I don't know any other mayor that has worked as hard as I have and has gotten the grants that I have to benefit this community. Things I've gotten where the taxpayers didn't have to spend, we didn't have to spend taxpayer dollars. So I'm very passionate about this. I think it's a great thing for the community, and whoever wants to torpedo it, so be it, have at it. So we will take a vote in January and to discuss this, and wherever it goes, it goes. So.
I appreciate your hard work in receiving grants.
Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it.
One of the main functions of an elected official is to be accountable for the expenditures of all funds, whether it's taxes, whether it's pilots, whether it is grants.
So now you're
And I get
saying that
concerned.
I am not using funds properly, and okay, Sean.
And
You know what? I could get $50 million here and you would find something wrong with it, honestly. So you know what? I'm not going to argue with you anymore, Sean. You know what?
I'm not arguing.
We're just, we look at things differently. You're negative, you're angry, you don't want to move the village forward. You didn't want to vote on rezoning the property. Everything is negative. I just want to help the community. I want to do the right thing and make people happy. And if that makes me a bad mayor, well, then that makes me a bad mayor. Then I apologize to you for getting this money so that the kids could do something nice. That I'm not going to do. Sorry. So Sean,
Can we move on? Come on.
We'll answer your questions at the next meeting. And if we want, we'll take the vote, call it a day, We have Stephanie having surgery tomorrow morning, and we have an extensive executive session. So at this time, I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss
So-
personnel and contractual issues.
So
Can I have
moved.
a second?
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you.
Okay, let's take a quick minute break. The people who have to stay for executive session, please stay, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Thank you.
Materialize. And so these co-signers are very